USS Dwight D.Eisenhower is a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier currently in service with the United States Navy. Commissioned in 1977, the ship is the second of the 10 Nimitz-class aircraft carriers currently in service, and is the first ship named after the 34th President of the United States, Dwight D. Eisenhower. The vessel was initially named simply as USS Eisenhower, much like the lead ship of the class, Nimitz, but the name was changed to its present form on the 25th of May 1970. The carrier, like all others of her class, was constructed at Newport News Shipbuilding Company in Virginia, with the same design as the lead ship, although the ship has been overhauled twice to bring her up to the standards of those constructed more recently. Since commissioning, Dwight D. Eisenhower has participated in deployments including Operation Eagle Claw during the Iran hostage crisis in 1980, as well as the Gulf War in the 1990s, and more recently in support of U.S. military operations in Iraq and Afghanistan. Design and construction. On 29 June 1970, Newport News Shipbuilding of Newport News, Virginia was awarded the contract for construction. On 30 June 1975, her designation was changed from CVN-69 to CVN-69. She was laid down as hull number 599 on 15 August 1970 at Newport News Shipyard at a cost of $679 million. Launched the 11th of October 1975 after christening by Mamie Dood Eisenhower, and commissioned the 18th of October 1977, Captain William East Ramsey in command. Since her commissioning, Dwight D. Eisenhower has had 16 commanding officers. Her first Command Master Chief was AGCM Robert Franklin Frazier. On commissioning, she replaced the aging World War II-era carrier USS Franklin D. Roosevelt in the fleet. Overhauls March 1978 to July 1978. Post-shakedown availability. January 1981 to May 1981 selected restricted availability. August 1982 to October 1982 selected restricted availability. October 1985 to April 1987 complex overhaul. Forward port sponson added. Mk-25 BPDM replaced with Mk-29. 3 CIWS added. October 1988 to March 1989 selected restricted availability. October 1990 to January 1991 selected restricted availability. January 1993 to November 1993 selected restricted availability. October 1995 to January 1997 complex overhaul. Aft boarding dock added. February 1999 to June 1999 planned incremental availability. May 2001 to March 2005 refueling and complex overhaul. Bridle catcher removed. Top 2 levels of island replaced. New antenna mast. New radar tower. 2 ram replace. 1 CIWS. 1 Mk-29 at forward port sponson. Aft starboard sponson. 2 CIWS at island stern removed. January 2008 to July 2008 planned incremental availability. September 2010 to June 2011 planned incremental availability. September 2013 to May 2015 planned incremental availability. 2 CIWS added. 1 on newly installed forward starboard sponson. 1 on newly installed aft port sponson. Service history. 1970s. Dwight D. Eisenhower was initially assigned to the United States Atlantic Fleet, and, after receiving over a year of training, the ship was visited by President Jimmy Carter with his wife Rosalind Carter, Secretary of Defense Harold Brown and his National Security Advisor Zbigniew Brzezinski. In January 1979, she sailed for her first deployment to the Mediterranean Sea. During this deployment, while off the coast of Israel, Israeli Prime Minister Menachem Begin visited Dwight D. Eisenhower. The carrier returned to Norfolk Naval Station in July of the same year, 1980s, under the command of her second commanding officer, Captain James H. Malden. Her second deployment occurred in 1980, when she was dispatched by President Carter to the Indian Ocean, in response to the Iran hostage crisis. She relieved Nimitz 3 days after the Iranian hostage rescue attempt. To help maintain morale, Captain Malden allowed the men aboard to participate in Flight Deck Olympics. The Navy also authorized a special ration of beer, consisting of 6 cans per man, which was dispensed over a 2-month period. Dwight D. Eisenhower returned to the Mediterranean Sea for her third deployment, under the command of her third captain E. W. Claxton, Jr., for the 5th of January to the 13th of July 1982. During this deployment, 11 passengers and crew were lost when Mamie, her on-board logistics aircraft, crashed near Suda Bay, Crete, on the 2nd of April. She also participated in the 24th of June evacuation of the U.S. Embassy staff from Beirut, Lebanon, as that country descended into a civil war. Ike embarked on her 4th deployment from the 27th of April to the 2nd of December 1983. In addition to several major exercises with NATO, Egyptian and U.S. Air Force personnel and assets, she came under direct threat of destruction as Libyan strongman Muammar al-Gaddafi vowed to turn the Gulf of Sidra into a Red Gulf of Blood, should the ship enter the zone claimed by Libya. Further tensions between Libya, Chad, Sudan and Egypt forced Ike to be ordered to the disputed area. Between 2 and the 5th of August, the ship's combat air patrol intercepted 2 MiG-23 Flogger and 2 Dassault Breguet Mirage V aircraft headed toward the carrier in separate engagements. The Libyan aircraft immediately turned back toward the bases, ending both incidents. Diplomatic measures deflated the crisis days later. On the 26th of August, Ike sailed within sight of the embattled city of Beirut, Lebanon. The ship launched reconnaissance sorties in support of the U.S. Marines and other international peacekeepers coming under attack ashore. After 93 days at sea since her previous port visit, Ike visited Italy on the 21st of October. She once again had to make speed toward Beirut on the 26th because of suicide attacks that killed nearly 300 American and French troops on 23 October. Ike would remain on station until relieved by the Independence and John F. Kennedy in mid-November. In May-June 1984, for the 40th anniversary of D-Day, Ike was deployed to Normandy, France and Portsmouth, England. The port visit in England included a visit from Queen Elizabeth II. After her 5th deployment, Dwight D. Eisenhower went into Newport News Shipbuilding and Dry Dock in October 1985 for a major overhaul. The 18-month yard period included the addition of the Close-in Weapons System, NATO Sea Sparrow Missile System, Naval Tactical Data System, Anti-Submarine Warfare Module, communications upgrades and rehabilitation of 1,831 berths in 25 compartments. She re-entered the fleet in April 1987. On 29 February 1988, the ship started her sixth deployment to the Mediterranean. While returning to Norfolk, on 29 August 1988, she collided with an anchored Spanish coal ship while entering the harbor to dock at Norfolk Naval Station when wind and currents pushed the carrier off course, although damage was minor to both ships. Dwight D. Eisenhower entered Norfolk Naval Shipyard in September 1988. She returned to the fleet in April 1989. 1990 S. In 1990, Dwight D. Eisenhower completed her seventh Mediterranean deployment. The deployment became a commemorative event in the worldwide Dwight D. Eisenhower Centennial, celebrating the 100th anniversary of the late president's birth. During D-Day anniversary ceremonies off the coast of Normandy, President Eisenhower's son John Eisenhower and D-Day veterans embarked in the ship, while Carrier Air Wing 7 conducted a memorial flyover of the American cemetery at Omaha Beach in Normandy, France. Gulf War. In response to Iraq's invasion of Kuwait, Dwight D. Eisenhower became the first carrier to conduct sustained operations in the Red Sea, and only the second nuclear-powered aircraft carrier ever to transit the Suez Canal. Ike served as a ready striking force in the event Iraq invaded Saudi Arabia, and participated in maritime interception operations in support of a United Nations embargo against Iraq. After completion of an extensive shipyard period and workups, the carrier deployed 26 September 1991 to the Persian Gulf to continue multinational operations with coalition forces in support of Operation Desert Storm. Ike returned to Norfolk on 2 April 1992, and, on 12 January 1993, entered Norfolk Naval Shipyard for overhaul and conversion, returning to the fleet 12 November 1993. Post-Gulf War. In September 1994, Dwight D. Eisenhower and elements of the U.S. 10th Mountain Division first tested the concept of adaptive force packaging. The division's soldiers and equipment were loaded on board, and the ship's Army-Navy team headed for Port-au-Prince to lead Operation Uphold Democracy, the U.S.-led effort to restore the elected government of Haiti. 1 month later, in October 1994, Dwight D. Eisenhower departed for a 6-month deployment which included flying missions in support of Operation Southern Watch and Operation Deny Flight. This deployment marked the first time that women had deployed as crew members of a U.S. Navy combatant. Dwight D. Eisenhower Carrier Air Wing 3, and the Commander, Cruiser Destroyer Group H staff team included more than 400 women. The integration of women caused some negative headlines for the Navy. During the deployment, 15 women serving aboard had to be reassigned ashore because of pregnancy, earning the ship the nickname the Love Boat. There was also a case of a sailor who filmed himself having sex with a female. In April 1995, the game show Wheel of Fortune taped 2 weeks of episodes on the ship's hangar deck. Dwight D. Eisenhower returned to Newport News Shipbuilding on 17 July 1995 for a complex 18-month overhaul completed on 27 January 1997. Among other things, they installed a new advanced combat direction system. The ship departed on her 10th deployment on 10 June 1998 and returned in December. In February 1999, she returned to the Norfolk Navy Shipyard for a 6-month refitting and returned to the fleet in June. Upon completion in June 1999, she returned to full duty in the fleet. 2000s from Wikimedia Commons, the free media repository, deploying in February 2000 and returning that August on the Millennium Cruise. For the first time, Ike's embarked aircraft dropped ordnance in combat while supporting Operation Southern Watch's no-fly zone over Iraq. On 3 October 2006, with Carrier Air Wing 7, Dwight D. Eisenhower returned to sea as the flagship of Rear Admiral Alan G. Mayers, commanding Carrier Strike Group 8. CSG-8 also includes the guided missile cruiser Anzio, guided missile destroyers Ramage and Mason, and the fast attack submarine Newport News. She visited Naples, Italy, and then Limassol, Cyprus, for 3 days in October 2006 before departing to the east. She entered the Persian Gulf in December 2006. On 8 January 2007, a USAC 130 gunship based out of Djibouti was dispatched to target al-Qaeda operatives located in Somalia. Eisenhower was deployed in the Indian Ocean to provide air cover for the operation and, if needed, to evacuate downed airmen and other casualties. It joined other U.S. and Allied vessels from Bahrain-based Combined Task Force 150. The U.S. spokesperson did not say what particular ships comprised the cordon, but the task force includes vessels from Canada, France, Germany, Pakistan, the UK, and the US. U.S. ships of Combined Task Force 150 include the Arleigh-Burke-class destroyer Ramage and the Ticonderoga-class cruiser Bunker Hill. The aim of the patrols is to stop SICC leaders or foreign militant supporters escaping Somalia. In March 2007, following the Iranian seizure of Royal Navy personnel, Dwight D. Eisenhower began battle group exercises off the Iranian coastline. The following month in April, the ship was relieved by Nimitz. On 4 October 2008, Dwight D. Eisenhower Petty Officer 2nd Class Robert Lamar Robinson was killed on the ship during training exercises off the coast of North Carolina. The sailor was killed after being struck by an airplane at 8:15 p.m. on the carrier's flight deck. On 21 February 2009, Dwight D. Eisenhower deployed for the Arabian Sea and environs, rotating into the forward deployed forces there. She served as the flagship of Carrier Strike Group 8 commanded by Rear Admiral Kurt W. Tidd. Also embarked were Carrier Air Wing 7 and the staff of Commander Destroyer Squadron 28. Other ships of Strike Group 8 were Bainbridge, Halliburton, Scranton, Vicksburg, and Gettysburg. In addition to supporting Operations Iraqi Freedom and Enduring Freedom, the Strike Group conducted maritime security operations including anti-piracy operations. On 16 May, Dwight D. Eisenhower became the first Nimitz-class carrier to dock pierside in Manama, Bahrain. The last carrier to moor pierside in Bahrain was Rendezvous in 1948. On 30 July 2009, the Dwight D. Eisenhower returned to Naval Station Norfolk after almost a 6-month deployment. 2010s. On 2 January 2010, Dwight D. Eisenhower again deployed to the Middle East, the U.S. 5th and 6th Fleet areas of operations. She served as the flagship of Dwight D. Eisenhower Carrier Strike Group commanded by Rear Admiral Philip S. Davidson. While in theater, the Strike Group provided security cooperation, forward naval presence, maritime security, and crisis response. In addition to the IC, the Strike Group was made up of Carrier Air Wing 7, Commander Destroyer Squadron 28, the guided missile cruiser HUE Acute City, and guided missile destroyers McFowl, Carney, and Farragut. On 28 July 2010, the Ike returned to her home port in Norfolk. The ship was placed in a planned incremental availability at Norfolk Naval Shipyard through June 2011. On the 22nd of February 2013, Ike and Strike Group 8 departed for another Mediterranean and Mideast deployment. After pulling into Marseille, France. In early March, the German Saxon-class frigate Hamburg became the first to fully integrate into an American strike group. Hamburg was commanded by CMDR Ralph Kutchler and stayed with the strike while it operated with the Fifth Fleet. On the 6th of August, the ship began an ammunition offload in preparation for an upcoming docked planned incremental availability at Norfolk Naval Shipyard. On the 26th of August 2014, the ship was moved to berth 4243 from dry dock number 8 at Norfolk Naval Shipyard, and as of the 4th of February 2015, the DPIA is 4 months behind schedule, with the ship planned to remain in the yard until at least April 2015. On the 3rd of September 2015, the ship went back to sea. In June 2016, Eisenhower and its carrier strike group entered the Atlantic Ocean. USS Dwight D.Eisenhower carrier strike group entered the U.S. 6th Fleet Area of Operations June 8 in support of U.S. national security interests in Europe. Eventual replacement. Dwight D. Eisenhower is currently scheduled to be eventually replaced around 2027 by the Gerald R. Ford-class USS Enterprise. The exact date of the ship's inactivation and decommissioning will likely depend on Defense Department funding considerations. Commanding officers. Awards. Dwight D. Eisenhower has earned a number of awards, including the Battle E in 1979, 1980, 1981, 1985, 1990, 1998, 1999, 2006 and 2012 as the most battle-efficient carrier in the Atlantic Fleet. In 1999, she won the Marjorie Sterritt Battleship Fund Award for the Atlantic Fleet. In popular culture, the 2013 animated Disney film Planes has a talking version of her called Dwight D. Eisenhower, which is numbered CVN 81 instead of 69. Season 1, Episode 11 of Popular Mechanics for Kids was filmed during 3 days on board the Eisenhower. USS Dwight D. Eisenhower is also featured in the 2007 naval thriller Defiance by Don Brown.